What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a vintage collection market update. We've got some pretty incredible items that sold over the last few days, mainly yesterday, including a vintage collection factory error miscard that obliterates every single sales price record for these. As you know, I track these, I collect these, and this was a kind of one-of-one vintage collection miscard that sold, and I've got some inside information on that sale that I wanted to share a little bit later on. But first, let's go ahead and get started with some early TVC 1.0 sales. And towards the end of the video, we're going to cover a number of graded TVC items that sold. And it's kind of nice to see more and more of these vintage collection items get graded and resold, so we can start tracking more prices for graded TVC. It just seems like a no-brainer. I'm surprised that more people aren't doing it. But anyway, let's start with VC12. This was a punched example of Darth Sidious with the rocket firing Boba Fett offer sticker, and we've actually got a couple of rocket firing Fetts that sold that I'm going to cover a little bit later on, one ungraded and one graded, so be on the lookout for those. But this one sold for $150. It was in really nice condition overall, and for those of you that have a little bit more knowledge than me, you guys can let me know whether you've seen any unpunched VC12 Sidiouses sell here recently. Off the top of my head, I have not. I don't remember any that have sold here recently that are unpunched, and I know that a lot of these early ones are difficult to find unpunched, so would be curious to know from some of you guys whether you've seen any unpunched examples sell here recently. But this one sold for $150 on free shipping. I thought that was a pretty good price overall. Here was an unpunched VC13 Darth Vader. Obviously, we got the two different name pills that exist, the Darth Vader and then the Anakin Skywalker. Earlier this year, we saw an Anakin Skywalker name pill version of this VC13 sell for an astronomical price. I think it was $435, but this one was an unpunched Darth Vader name pill. That one sold for $150 on free shipping. I thought that was a great price, whoever picked that one up, but a really nice card back there. Jango Fett. Now, again, we've talked about him recently and how the price for Jango has gone down, and this one supports that argument as well. This one was in pretty good condition overall. Probably 85 plus condition, and it was unpunched, and the US card, it sold for $157.50 plus $10 shipping. That's well off the highs of $225 to $250 that we saw earlier this year. And I think for the most part, most of these sales support the argument that we've been making here over the last couple of weeks, that the vintage collection has flattened. It's over the last month, it just seems like prices in general have flattened. Here was a VC51 unpunched example of Barriss Offee. We obviously got her coming with newer colors on the animated Clone Wars style card back early this year, or early next year, excuse me. But this unpunched example was in pretty nice shape overall. That one sold for $110 with free shipping. I thought that was a pretty good price for that one. We've certainly seen it sell for higher than that. Here was an interesting one. This was a Canadian version of VC54, the ARC Trooper Commander. Beautiful Canadian card. Obviously it was punched, but you know, it's nice to see this one. This one had some edge wear to it, so I think that held the price back a little bit. But anyway, that one sold for $180 or 230 Canadian dollars. But it did have some fairly pronounced wear. You can see the crease right there on the card back. But that's one I'd like to pick up unpunched, the Canadian ARC Trooper Commander on the Expanded Universe card, because yes, we know that one's coming back out again with kind of the new paint scheme on the cartoon style card back, but you know, we're never going to see that Expanded Universe card again unless Hasbro and Lucasfilm change their mind and they want to have that Expanded Universe card again. But I just don't see that happening. So that's one that I'd like to pick up in an unpunched example. Here's one that's definitely kind of countered the argument that prices have flattened, and that's again Princess Leia with a slave outfit. This was the retail release with the prototype Fett offer sticker. Beautiful unpunched example, and it had lots of different angles, so you can see what kind of shape it's in. A little bit of card wear there, or curling to the card on the corner there. But that one sold for $272 plus $8 shipping. You know, that's kind of in line, you know, for one that's kind of 85 condition, 85 plus maybe, somewhere in that range. But the Slave Leia has definitely bucked every trend and continues to command big dollars. This is one that was really surprising to me. We saw Starkiller sell recently in that 150 to 200 range, but this price that it just sold at, which was $260 on free shipping, and admittedly it was in really nice condition. VC100 expanded universe with the Darth Maul offer sticker. But 260 is towards the upper end of the range for Starkiller. It's very regularly sold here recently, closer to $200. So interesting to see that one kind of jump back up again into that 250, 260 price point. Another one that's kind of held its own pretty well, and that's lumet. This lumet was unpunched. Really nice example. Good photos that shows how clean it was. That one sold for $160 on one bid with $7 shipping. So lumet is holding its value as well. And another one, Jar Jar Binks. That one is also kind of held its value pretty well. This one was an unpunched example. We saw this seller had two of these. One of them sold earlier, I want to say about a month ago, maybe a little bit less. But the second one did finally sell at $174 on free shipping, but it was in really nice condition. It did have a little bit of edge wear up in the corners, as you can see up there next to the VC108 on the back, and then the upper left-hand corner. But I don't know, pretty nice example, probably 85 or 85 plus condition. So 175 is the number for that Jar Jar Binks. Ray, this is one that's really come down. I don't know if you guys remember from earlier this year, but probably January of this year, right at the beginning of the year, we saw this Ray from The Rise of Skywalker just explode in price. I mean, it got up to like $200 or even $220, I believe, for a very short window. For a very hot minute, it sold for about $200 to $220, and then it slowly kind of dropped. As I don't know. I think a lot of retailers found a lot of excess stock, and they kind of brought it back out. But anyway, this seller had three of them, and they were all listed for $100 on free shipping, and this one did sell. I think that all three of those were sold kind of or offered for sale right at the same time, and all three of them sold pretty quick. So $100 seems to be a more realistic price for this Ray, in near mint plus condition. So that was a really nice find, though. Here's another price that really shocked me and kind of goes against the trend that we've seen for a lot of vintage collection. But we talked about this 501st Legion ARC Troopers 3-pack. The kind of I think it was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. That one has been consistently selling for around $175. And then you got this one, and admittedly it was in really nice condition. That one sold for $220 plus $10 shipping. So that's a little higher than we've been seeing, but a really, really nice example of that ARC Trooper 3-pack. And somebody was willing to pay up for condition, I guess, on that one. All right, it's time to talk about the vintage collection Miscard that sold, and you guys can see that price on your screen, and hopefully your jaw dropped as much as mine did as I watched this auction go. And so this is Boba Fett on the Beskar Mandalorian card back. Now this is a legitimate Miscard, okay? I'm gonna keep the seller's name private, but the seller is a subscriber, and before he launched this auction, he reached out to me and asked me what I thought it would sell for. He's based in Hungary, and he sent me lots of photos, just like you can see here. But it is 100% a legitimate Miscard. You can see the factory waffle pattern around the seal there, and just a beautiful kind of one-of-one type of Miscard that I don't know if we'll ever see another one. But I think what makes this one so desirable is obviously the characters. You got Boba Fett and you got the Mandalorian, right? So those are two of probably the hottest properties in Star Wars lore right now, right? You got the Mandalorian, you got the Book of Boba Fett, you got them both on the same card back, and Boba Fett and the Beskar Mandalorian were not in the same release wave. They were, however, released around or being manufactured around the same time frame. So, that's why I think that people are willing to pay up a lot for these types of items, not only because of the characters, but I think because of the rarity, right? We're just, I don't know. I've never seen another Miscard with this combination yet. And I'd be curious to know if anybody else has seen another one of these, but a pretty awesome one-of-one type of thing. And when you have a character that's being manufactured right around the same time frame as a separate wave, the Beskar Mandalorian wave, and we saw another sale that was the previous high water mark, right? I believe it was the Beskar Mandalorian on the Rogue One Vader card back. That one sold for $1,600. And then we saw a Rogue One Darth Vader action figure on the Beskar Mandalorian card back. That one did have quite a bit of wear to it. That one sold for a little over $1,000, and that was fairly recently, if not last week. But this one, I mean, look at this price. This one had 45 bids. It sold for $8,100. And before any of you say shill bidding or fake sale, it is 100% a paid-for sale. So somebody did actually pay the seller on this, because the seller is a subscriber, and he confirmed for me that the buyer did pay. The winning buyer did pay that amount. So a pretty incredible high watermark that I don't think we'll ever see anyone come close to this number anytime soon, if ever. And I was talking to another subscriber named Todd, who's a buddy of mine, and we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we ever touch this sales price again? And I think it would take something pretty crazy, like I was thinking like the new Ahsoka that's coming out, maybe on a Bo-Katan card back, or a Bo-Katan on a new Ahsoka card back. You know, the manufacturing waves are probably going to be pretty similar. A very, very clean Ahsoka on our Darth Maul probably won't even touch this. We saw one that was pretty beat up that sold for $600. You know, it might take like a Boba Fett, like the re-armored Boba Fett from whenever they announced that one, a re-armored Boba Fett on a Mandalorian card back. You know, it could be something like that, or an Ahsoka card back or something. But I don't know if we'll ever touch this price of $8,100 again. And I can tell you that it's mind blowing to me that somebody pays that. And you know, I guess the way I look at it is, you know, for those of us who have normal budgets, this number seems completely obscene, right? But, you know, there's collectors out there that have a lot of money and they love the rarity. And of course, you know, you have collectors that are big, big fans of Boba Fett. You know, obviously we know about the Boba Fett tax that goes on. And having the Boba Fett action figure on a Mandalorian card back, you know, until I see another one that comes up, which I doubt we do, but if we do, this will go down as an overpay, because I think if another one gets offered at auction, I don't think we'll come close to that price point. This is clearly a case of two buyers both wanting it, and two buyers that had deep pockets that bid on this. But I just don't foresee. I don't see if another one does come up, I don't see it ever coming close to this price. But congratulations to the seller on a pretty epic sale. And he reached out to me to finish my thought. He reached out to me with what I thought it would sell for, and I said, well, I think it's worth about $1,000, but I think if you go at auction, you'll probably get a lot more than that, because of the one that sold for $1,600. My number was $1,000. That'd be what I would be willing to spend. I knew that was low, but anyway, he did put it at auction. So props to him for getting an amazing price on that. And like I said, he did confirm for me after the sale that the buyer did pay that. So just completely mind-blowing. All right, let's get back to finishing this up. We got a VCP03. This is the rocket firing Fett. This was the ungraded example. Really nice, clean, and it sold for $117.50. So this price was pretty surprising to me, and it did have a little bit of edge wear, as you can see down here in the lower right-hand corner by the UPC code. But really, I mean, oh yeah, up there too. I didn't see that one above the VCP03. So this is probably like an 80 grade at best, maybe an 85 if the graders are feeling generous. But you know, pretty decent amount of edge wear. But the price reflected that. You know, $117.50 is a steal of a price for a mint on card Rocket Fett, despite those deficiencies. And then Jeff's Collectible Empire did sell a number of graded TVC. And it seems like he's the only one that's really selling these in mass, right? Like he does seem to have quite a number of vintage collection that he's listed over the last few months. But this was a beautiful example, and props to him for doing the 3-tier grading and for doing it with the classic view grading label instead of up top that most people don't seem to like, myself included. But anyway, this one graded 85 plus. The card got a 90, blister 85, figure 90. So just missed an overall 90 score. That one sold for $238.50 plus $20 shipping. I thought that was a great price. You know, I was very tempted on that one. You know, it did have a little bit of wave to the card, as you can see there below the Visit StarWars.Hasbro.com logo in the lower left. So it had a little bit of wave to the card. So that kind of, you know, turned me off a little bit. But I think for that price, whoever picked it up, that was a great deal. This one surprised me a little bit. This was an AFA 9.0 modern scale grading, Walmart exclusive Mimban Stormtrooper. This is one that I kind of targeted, and I did buy and grade myself. I just figured, you know, like I've talked about in past videos, any of these kind of store exclusives, like Walmart exclusive, Target exclusive, Amazon exclusives, if you can get those in high grade, I think that long term, they're always going to hold their value. They're always going to hold their value because, number one, they're store exclusives, and they're probably produced in much lower numbers than the typical manufacturing batches for the release waves at Hasbro. And number two, the elephant in the room, that all of these store exclusives are usually shipped to consumers like trash, and they get beat up. So if you can get a really mint example like this one, people are eventually going to pay up. And this is a good example of one. So, you know, this one came out in 2018. It was 9.0 on the modern scale. Interesting that that AFA does label Walmart exclusive sticker on there. So that's kind of cool. And that's not, you know, that's not something you really see much anymore, if at all, to my knowledge. I mean, you had the VC-177, the Mandalorian with Child, the VC-177 Incinerator Trooper. Neither one of those had the Walmart exclusive stickers on there, to my knowledge. So unless it was like a store specific thing. But anyway, going back to my point, this one sold for $160 plus $20 shipping. That's $180 shipped for a figure that came out 3 years ago. And so my argument is that what's this going to be selling for in 5 years, right? As fewer and fewer of these store exclusives that are already produced in lower numbers, as fewer and fewer of these are available in high grade. What are these going to be worth? And I think that this is only going to go up. These types of figures, VC-177, the Mandalorian with Child, and Incinerator Trooper, those kind of things. You know, all of those Clone Wars, animated Clone Wars figures coming out next year that are store exclusives. I just think that long term, these types of items are the ones you want to buy and get a lot of. If you can get them for cheap or, you know, at retail, that's the way to go, because long term, I just think they're going to be a good investment, just given how difficult it is to find them in clean condition. Here's another one. This was 9.25 on the modern scale. This is the original issue Queen Amidala. That one sold for $113 plus $20 shipping. Nice, beautiful, unpunched example. But, you know, for a lot of these that Jeff sold, he must have bought an old collection because, you know, like I said, the cases for a lot of the ones he sells are just scratched up. And, you know, that kind of precluded me from bidding. I mean, look at this prune face. I mean, the case, you know, look around the punch up above there. It's just all of the cases are just really beat up. And maybe it's just the reflection, but that to me looks like case damage to me. So I just would be too hesitant to actually bid on that, given the damage. But anyway, that one did sell for $100 plus $20 shipping on one bid. This was another one I was really watching closely. Again, the case just had way too much damage for me to consider bidding on it. But this is a figure that I'd like to get, and that's the Expanded Universe Shea Vizsla. This one did have the Darth Maul offer sticker, and it was graded 9.0 on the modern scale. That one sold for $270 plus $20 shipping, or about $290 altogether. Now, that's a little lower than the last one that sold, but the last one that sold was an uncirculated 90. And that one, I believe, I'm going on memories, but that one sold for about $340. But that one had the 3-tier grading, and the case was not all scratched up like this one. So I think given the case damage and the fact that this is on the modern scale versus the 3-tier grading, that price discount versus the last sale makes a lot of sense to me. Here's another one I really like. This was Aayla Secura on the Revenge of the Sith card, unpunched, graded 9.25. Another really nice example. That one sold for $160 plus $20 shipping. That's kind of right in line with where we've been seeing Aayla Secura sell here recently. This is the VC-102 Ahsoka that was graded 80 plus. Now, as we talked about in the last market update, this one sold for $404 last week, and then he immediately relaunched it because the buyer didn't pay. So we're going to find out if the buyer paid this time. But anyway, this one did sell again at $400, so about the same price it sold for last time. And again, it was an 80 plus grade, and you know, it had the 3-tier grading down below there. But again, $400 plus $16 shipping. Again, that's to me a pretty good price for what you're getting. A VC-102 unpunched Ahsoka and fairly high grade. And last but not least, we got an uncirculated 9.0 range trooper. That one sold for $81 with free shipping. That's a pretty decent price, I feel like, for a U9.0 range trooper. Not particularly a highly desired figure, but I really like the card back, and you know, just a real nice example. So anyway, obviously the big one was the Miscard. Here it is again, just for those of you that want to see it. But what an incredible data point and sales price that, I mean, you know, even like pre-production stuff for the vintage collection. Let's say you had a pre-production, you know, roto mold or proto mold for the Mandalorian figure. I mean, I would just be curious to know whether anything will come close to this sales price for a vintage collection. Anything. I mean, it would take something really truly eye-popping, I think, to approach this sales price. But for those of you big-time collectors out there like Anthony, or some of you guys that really collect the pre-production vintage collection stuff, I would love to know if you've what you think about this one, whether you think we'll see anything that touches this sales price again. But anyway, for those of you who are new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you like what you see. I would really appreciate a thumbs up, as it helps the video and helps the channel. Please comment below with any awesome pickups you picked up this weekend. I've been really good. I didn't buy anything. I wanted to bid on a lot of stuff, but I didn't buy anything. But I do have a number of items that just arrived on my doorstep this weekend that I'm sure I'll cover and show off in a video later this week. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.